השופר יצאו לחיי עולם המתים יצאו לחיי עולם כי שמך בשופר אחרונה המתים יצאו לחיי עולם המתים יצאו לחיי עולם כי שמך כי שמך כי תקע בשופר אחרונה המתים יצאו לחיי עולם המתים יצאו לחיי עולם כי שמך Hoshiana
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. Welcome to our Yom Shlishi broadcast. Literal translation of the Septuagint gives us Boker Tov, Boker Tov. The literal translation of the Septuagint gives us a fascinating look and a fascinating understanding of exactly what is written and what is meant in Luke 4:18. It's truly, truly amazing. Oh, let's have a look. It literally reads, "The Ruach of the Master Yahuwah is upon me." Now, you're not going to get this translation in the Masoretic because they messed it up quite a bit. They removed the opening of the eyes of the blind because they knew it pointed to the so-called Christian God. We want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time on this Yom Shlishi to study with us and start your mornings and your day right. We have listeners from across the world, from Brazil to the UK and many other parts unknown. So I was doing a little homework and I kind of touched on this on Shabbat, but I want to touch on it a little further before we go into the word today. So I looked this up in the Septuagint, and it literally reads as follows. Isaiah 61, 1 and 2, quoted directly in Luke, in the Besorah, according to Luke 4:18. The Ruach of the Master Yahuwah is upon me, speaking of Yahusha, and those who follow Yahusha. It's not just speaking of Yahusha, but anyone who walks in the footsteps or obeys the call of Yahusha to Lecha Charai, to proclaim. He has anointed me. We talked about the anointing a few weeks ago. He has anointed me to proclaim the Besorah. I get these glasses on, that would help. I got a million things on my head, from headphones to a kippah. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. So that would help, right? He has anointed me to proclaim the Besorah to the poor. So you'll see that in a second. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted. I checked this in the Hebrew, and I also checked this, and now I'm quoting directly from the Septuagint. To proclaim deliverance to the captives. And that word captives there is a very interesting word. I don't want to get into it because some of you may think that I'm picking on a person or attacking someone. But go ahead and look up that word for yourself in the Hebrew, in Luke 4:18. The captives, okay? To proclaim deliverance. So again, I had several people say to me the other day, "Oh, so you're doing this Christian thing. Oh, so now you're promoting Christianity." That shows an immature believer. That shows somebody who has not had their eyesight recovered as to the true mission and ministry of the Messiah. Because we see here very, very clearly that part of the true ministry and mission of the Messiah is to preach the deliverance to the captives, those who are bound in prison and in chains and can't shake their behaviors and their ongoing practices, behavioral practices of the past that has brought them into bondage in the soulish realm and unable to heal or free themselves. And recovering of sight to the blind. So if you look at the Masoretic translation into English, they removed that recovering of sight to the blind because they knew that the so-called Christian God was running around all of Judea and Samaria, opening eyes of the blind. And they knew in Isaiah 61, 1 and 2, that one of the promises of the Mashiach, it would be that he would open the eyes of the blind. And not just to their own need for deliverance, but for physical healing as well. You see? So they kind of changed that. If you look online, go to the Masoretic version, you'll see they don't put that the blind will see because they know that's one of the telltale telltale signs of the Messiah. So when Yahusha opened the eyes of those who were born blind, this is all part of the messianic prophecies of what he would do. It was not something that, some Christian God that was running around was going to start doing to draw followers after himself. And now stay with me here, because if you don't focus, you're not going to see this translation anywhere else other than the literal translation of the Greek Septuagint, which was the scriptures that the disciples used, that Yahusha used, and where we find this literal translation based on the oldest Hebrew manuscript. The Septuagint was translated by 70 rabbis or Hebrew scholars in Alexandria, Egypt, about 140, 135 BC, right around the times that the Dead Sea Scroll community of Qumran was being established. Okay? So this is not a Christian translation. It was done by 70 Hebrew scholars on commission from the high priest in Jerusalem and sent by the Sanhedrin. So this is not a Christian translation. This was a translation done by the Jewish people for the Jews living in Egypt and elsewhere around the known world at that time, in order for them to have a copy of the Hebrew scriptures in their own language. Now keep in mind that the Hebrew text from which the Septuagint, the LXX for short, LXX, which means 70, right? Based on the 70 translators or the 70 Jewish scholars who translated the ancient Hebrew manuscript into Greek. So they were working with the Hebrew manuscript that is at least 200, 300 BC, and the Masoretic text was made and put together approximately 700 AD. So there's a 1,000-year difference. Okay, so the Greek Septuagint, contrary to popular opinion, is more reliable than the Masoretic because it was based on a Hebrew manuscript that is 1,000 years older than what they use for the King James and other translations, which is basically the rabbinic Masoretic Middle Age text, which had already included many anti-Yahusha redactions, and it had already had the name of Yahuwah removed at least 134 times and substituted with Adonai. Okay? Adonai. Adonai, Adonai. So this is the way it literally leads, and we have this at the top of our website if you want to follow along in the header of our website. This is our new header. It says, recovering of sight to blind and to send deliverance to those that are devastated or brokenhearted. So one of the jobs of the Messiah would be to open the eyes of the blind, preach the good news to the poor, heal the brokenhearted. But what I'm trying to get at here, and if you're paying attention, you'll get it with me. What I'm trying to get at here is that the concept of delivery, the concept that it is not a Christian thing. I had people online the other day saying, "Oh, so now you're promoting Christianity just because you posted a video of Bob Larson." What he does before Yahweh is his business. I know that in the scriptures in Mark chapter 9, I know that a group that did not follow Yahusha, which means they did not follow Torah, because all the groups that were following Yahusha had to follow Torah, because he taught them Torah, right? He taught them to obey all the things that he obeyed with his father, which was the Torah. So there was a group that was not following him, therefore they were not following Torah. Or they were following Torah but destroying the Torah, because Yahusha came to fulfill the Torah, which doesn't mean I do it, you don't have to. Fulfill the Torah is a Hebraic idiomatic expression. Listen to me. Fulfilling the Torah, Matthew 5, 17 through 20, is a Hebraic idiomatic expression, which means properly interpreted. So when a rabbi was properly interpreting the Torah, they were saying, "Good job, Rabbi, good job. You are fulfilling it well. Good job, good job. You are fulfilling it well." When a rabbi would twist the scriptures and cut and paste like most cemetery preachers do today, they cut and paste two verses, stick them together, and make it say something that is completely out of the context. We call that destroying the Torah. So if a rabbi was eisegeting and adding to the text and inserting his own opinion into the text, which we call eisegesis, there was a Hebrew idiomatic expression that said he is destroying the Torah with his wrongful interpretation. What Mashiach was saying is not, I'm fulfilling the Torah so you guys can go do Easter bunnies and Christmas. No, he was saying fulfilling means I am finally rightfully dividing it and interpreting it for you and teaching you. So we have an incident in Mark chapter 9 where they were not following Yahusha and they were not following his Torah. They may have been following the rabbinical Torah, but in order to follow the fulfillment of the Torah or the fulfillment of the Torah or the correct understanding of the Torah, they had to be following Yahusha's group. And then Yahusha rebuked the disciples. And he said, don't worry about it. No man can do a good work in my name. And they said, Master, we caught some people casting out devils. And they don't follow us. They're not messianic. They don't believe in Mashiach, and they don't follow your Torah. They may follow the Torah that is being destroyed by the twisting of other groups, other rabbis, and the Pharisees, and such. You see? So they were saying, stop him. Should we stop him? Adon Yahusha. Some Christian dude is casting out devils. So let's take that to the modern understanding. Let's take that to the modern understanding. Some Christian dude named Bob Larson or Moshe Pipik or Chatzo Berek Tobis is casting out demons. Therefore, it's not real, and we should not believe it. It's a play. It's a show. It's a performance. Okay, so I'm already starting to get that. That shows the immaturity and the lack of understanding, because we have a crystal clear example, crystal clear, to understand deliverance, to understand the basics of deliverance. Even those groups that were keeping Torah in their own incorrect way and not following the Messiah, Savior, King, Yeshua said, leave him alone. No man can do a miracle. See, deliverance is a miracle. Some of you are scared of miracles because you've been burned by the church, you've been burned by religion, you don't understand what it involves. So you're scared. We become scared of things and become frightened of things that we don't fully understand. But that doesn't mean they're not of Yahuwah. So in modern terminology, there are Christian groups who are casting out devils. Should we stop them? Is it just fake? And what did Yahusha say? Do not stop them, because no man doing the miracle of deliverance in my authority and my name can ever speak bad of me or evil of me or call me a bastard child, like the leaders of the Jewish people who referred to him as a mamzer, as a bastard child, and Miriam, his mother, as a whore who was intercoursed by 1,000 Roman soldiers. That's what it says in the Talmud, that Mary, the mother of Yahusha, was impregnated by a large group of Roman soldiers. Okay, so they dishonor him, they disrespect him, and Yahushua is saying anyone who casts out a demon in my name, in my authority, and sees a living miracle can never speak evil about me, because they know that there's authority in my name. Okay, so we have to understand that. We have to overcome this idea that it's Christian. I'm going to come up with a teaching, and I'm going to share this teaching with you in the not too distant future. And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to prove to you through documentation and through evidence, okay, that that all the patriarchs, whether they were Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Enoch, they all had to do deliverance just to survive in a Babylonian society, in a Medo-Persian society. Okay, just to thrive and to overcome, they had to be skillful. And I'm no doubt that the order of Melchizedek, from Noah and Shem, and later Yaakov. Okay, there's no doubt that the entire order of Melchizedek were keen and aware and empowered and had the understanding of the necessity of casting out demons in order for a person to be free. So I want to abort, and I want to arrest this lie of the enemy that he's going to keep throwing at you, especially when more and more people start awakening to the true full gospel, the full Besorah. My point being that if you look at the header of our website, I literally copied it word for word so you can follow with me from the Septuagint. And with my point being that the word deliverance is there twice. You're not going to find this. You're not going to find this. I don't care if you tune into 100 broadcasts of other teachers. You're not going to find this anywhere. I have gone into the Septuagint, okay? And I'm going to change it as well in the updated RSTNE 7th edition. So there 2 times you find that word deliverance. Number 1, heal the brokenhearted, proclaim deliverance to the prisoners, captives. And the second time, to send deliverance to those who are bruised or who have been devastated by life. Okay, so anybody that's been devastated by life is a candidate for deliverance. The point being, it's mentioned twice, maybe once for both houses of Israel, or maybe twice, so you can get the point. Now, in some translations, you could look at Luke 4:18, based on Isaiah 61, 1 and 2, and you're not going to find the word deliverance once. They've completely erased it, and like the Aramaic, Peshitta has done, they've substituted the word mental illness to make you think that a person cannot have demons. It's all mental illness. Now, it's true there are certain people that are mentally ill. That's true. But the point being, there are a lot of translations where the word deliverance not only has been removed, but it's been removed twice. So if we go back to the beginning of Luke 4:18, Isaiah 61:1, Yahuwah Mashiach, Yahusha, had the Ruach from the Master Yahuwah, and he was anointed by the Master Yahuwah to preach the Besorah. The Besorah means when Yahuwah would take on basar, flesh, the same word Basorah, Basora, or flesh, because the Savior, the Redeemer, the Deliverer, would take on flesh. So thus it was the message of the flesh, the good news of the flesh, not carnal human flesh, but the good news of the salvation and the deliverance that was coming to us through the flesh of the Messiah. And again, the point is it's mentioned twice. So any message, any gospel, okay, anybody on Facebook who's criticizing what we're doing, or anybody else who doesn't understand that without deliverance you don't have a gospel. It's a different gospel. It's not a complete gospel. It's a shortened gospel. It's an abridged gospel. It is not the full counsel of Yahuwah. And so in order to remove this and attribute everything in the world that goes wrong in the life of the brokenhearted and the prisoners, in order to make them think that everything could be attributed to a mental illness, the word deliverance has been removed twice. But if you go into, you can go on Bible Hub if you want, and go to Luke 4:18 in the Greek. Go to Bible Hub if you want, and you can verify what I'm saying to you. And you'll see that in the Greek Septuagint, that word for deliverance in Luke 4:18 is used twice. So you could claim that healing is important, preaching salvation is important, but deliverance is twice as important, because once you're saved, part of cleaning the fish up. It's one thing to go fishing. Yahushua said in Matthew 4:4, Matthew 4:4, behold, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. So it's one thing to follow him and to go fishing for souls. That's very important. But once you clean the souls, there's a cleanup process. Once you go fishing for souls, there's a cleanup process. And part of that cleanup process, where we clean the fish and prepare it for discipleship, That's discipleship. Cleaning up the fish that you caught, washing them in the word, taking the bait of Satan out of their mouth, cutting away all the carnality, right? You don't just catch a fish and shove it in your mouth, right? You get sick. You have to prepare it, you have to cut it, you have to, all these things. And that is discipleship, the cleansing of the fish that the fishers of men caught. So, again, the way this verse actually reads, the Ruach of the Master Yahuwah is upon me because he has anointed me to proclaim the Besorah to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim deliverance to the captives. Look up that word captives. I think you'll find something interesting in the name. You may know some people with that name. And recovering of sight to the blind, to send deliverance to those who have been devastated. Okay? So it's doubly important. Everything the devil tells you, it's not important, that would leave him intact and that would leave him in place and that would leave him in a place where he doesn't need to be extracted. It's not important. This way you're not going to come and get me and extract me so that those who have been devastated can be set free. The actual word there is not just brokenhearted. The actual word there is devastated. People whose lives have been devastated by the world, the flesh, and the devil. Yahusha has come to set us free, and specifically individuals whose lives have been devastated by the world, the flesh, and the devil. You see that? Okay. So that is very important to understand. Any gospel that does not have a strong, if not a double emphasis, but at the very least, because it's mentioned twice in Luke 4:18, at the very least, a strong emphasis is not a ministry you should be supporting. Speaking of support, I thank Yahuwah for everyone that has contributed. Today's the last day to get your gifts in, please. I can't just keep asking because people are going to think we're begging, and we don't beg for ourselves. Our family pays our own bills. Rivka has her Social Security. She has her benefits. Everybody here pays their own bills, but we just can't carry the burden of ministering to hundreds of people every week. That has to be a shared responsibility. And so even though you only gave $20 or $30, that's a lot of money. And that helps us. If everybody on our mailing list gave $30, we can do a lot more than, or $20. We can do a lot more than we're doing now. I want to thank Sister Colette, because Colette, you're out there. Shalom. She's a very good and faithful sister. And she sent in a very beautiful gift this morning. A very, very nice gift, substantial gift. And that went right into the bank account, and we're going to use that to promote our ministry. So thank you. And everybody else that's listening more or less has taken the time to contribute. Let's see what Sophia says here. We're excited to hear what Yahuwah has to say. To our Levavot, blessed to hear. Todah for being the instrument and teacher for us. Thank you, sister. And now you know why I let you take walks and exercise with my wife, because we like you. So let's see. Allison, Boker Tov, Allison, Omein. Isn't mental illness caused by shadim? Benjamin has a good question. Isn't mental illness caused by shadim? Yes, but not all. Sometimes mental illness is caused by just the mind going haywire, stress, anxiety, meltdown. It's not always shadim. It's the same with illness. Like, not all illnesses are of the devil. Sometimes you get a common cold or, sore throat. Not, we can't be looking for devils under every rock, right? Okay, so not necessarily. All righty, Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. So let's get to where I wanted to get. Shadim may attack the individual's mind, and this happens a lot. We see this a lot, to make them think that they're crazy if they really think that they're having problems or issues with demons. The unclean spirits may begin to play with the mind of a believer by telling the individual that the deliverance is fake, that the deliverance minister is a jerk, that he or she doesn't know what they're doing, and it's a waste of time. The deliverance will not work. We've seen this, and I know this is a common malady. How is the sound doing, guys? Give me some feedback on the sound, because Benjamin says it's gurgly, but that may just be your end. Can someone else let me know? I think the sound should be pretty good. Would you please let me know? Give me a quick note. All of these lies are common, and they are an attempt by the enemy. Okay, thank you, Willem. The sound is clear. If it's clear, that's Tov. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. Okay, hallelujah. Well, there's okay, and then there's okay, right? Let's see if this is a little bit better. I don't know if it will be better, but thank you. All of these things are common, and they are Satan's way, Satan's way of trying to keep you in bondage and not looking for help. We just saw that the gospel 2 times mentions deliverance, and that's exactly what Yahusha quoted to prove to the people in the synagogue in Nazareth that he was the Mashiach. That's exactly the verse that he quoted 2 times. And I believe Yahusha quoted it from the Septuagint. Okay? And as soon as he quoted that, he said, I am the Messiah. And one of the proofs that I am the Messiah is I'm not just here to save your soul and forgive your sins. I'm here to heal you, and I'm here to deliver you. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Welcome, Sophania. Welcome. I have to send you a message later, okay? I want you to, after the broadcast, I'm going to send you a message on MeWe so you understand. I want to bring you up to date on something, okay? Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. So check your messages, please, after the broadcast. So these are common attempts to keep you right where you are, which is in chains and bondage. The truth is demons, listen carefully. The truth is demons knows how deliverance works, right? Because they're the ones who are going to be victimized, and they're the ones who are going to be bound, and they're the ones who are going to be cast out. So the demons know how this works. So before you ever get to the deliverance minister, they know how to play with your mind, play with your heart. This is a waste of time. It's all baloney. Thank you, Sophia. This is just Christian garbage, Christian stuff. And again, I used to think the same thing. Okay, this is just hocus pocus Christianity. But anybody who's been to a deliverance, who sees it with their own eyes, knows that Yahusha is alive, knows that he's greater than the powers of darkness, knows that he rules and reigns in the affairs and the hearts of men. It is necessary that every child of Yah should see a deliverance by themselves, because you will see the authority and the power that Yahusha has over the spirit world. And like you've heard me say many times over the last 35 years, some of you have been with me for a long time. Others not so much. Okay. I just slipped my mind what I was going to say. Sorry about that. It just slipped my mind. But the enemy is used to being cast out. In other words, he's used to going through deliverance. So he knows how to get you sidetracked, and he knows how to get you off course, and he knows how to get you upset so that you're not really prepared for the deliverance. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I forgot what I was going to say. I wish I had remembered. Sometime you just can't remember. Boker Tov. Yom Shlishi Sameach, Andrew. Boker Tov, brother. Welcome. So they become very nervous. Listen, they become very nervous knowing that you're about to go to the deliverance minister. And then you feel nervous, right? And then you feel stressed out. And you feel like calling and canceling. Why? Because the Shadim, they know that someone that knows their authority, someone that believes the gospel is about to show up and cast them out just by commanding them, not through trickery or their own strength or their own incantations, but just by showing up and doing what he said. So how do we cast out demons? We just do what he said. How complicated is that? Why do we blame Christians for that? Why do we blame Bob Larson for that? Why do we blame? It's a show. Okay, exhibición, exhibición. No es verdad. No, no. Demons must go. Period. There's no negotiating. So these are one of the things that we need to recapture. Okay, that the enemy has stolen from us. Now, if those in the church system are casting out your demon, they don't follow Torah, that's their business. What did Yahusha say? What did Yahusha say? See, the thing in Matthew chapter 7 that says there were those who will say, we've done miracles in your name, we've done healing in your name, we've cast out shadim in your name. Okay? And then I will profess, I never knew you, those of you who follow Torahlessness, those of you who break Torah. So they say, oh, look, a guy that's in the church, okay, who's casting out demons. Look, Matthew 7, Yahusha said, many will do miracles in my name. Many will cast out demons in my name. And then I will say, sorry, depart from me. I never knew you. I never knew you. Why? Because you're Torahless. You don't keep Shabbat, you keep Sunday. You don't keep the feasts of Yahuwah. They're not the feasts of the Jews. They're the feasts of Yahuwah. And you keep the pagan days instead. Torahlessness. There's only one problem with that theory. There's only one problem with that theory. The people who are casting out Shadim, who are practicing Torahlessness, are using the true name. They're not using Jesus. Let's read that again. Matter of fact, let's just go there. Steve says, personal experience makes believers. Yeah, exactly. You cannot deny what you see firsthand in front of you. You cannot deny it. Okay, I'm sorry. Just take a minute for my computer to boot up. I should have had this open. So it's going to take a minute. Let's go, for the rest of you, let's go to Matityahu 7. So people look at somebody in the church who casts out demons and goes, oh, well, they're lawless. And I had this guy tell me yesterday on MeWe. So I want you to know how to answer. I want everyone that listens and one of my students, because you're going to get criticized for following me, all right? And I know it's going to happen, so I don't really care. But I want to prepare you, okay? So you don't get easily shaken and you know yourself. Okay, people say, "Oh, so a guy like Bob Larson or a guy like the other fellows, so Frank Hammond or some of the others who taught deliverance in the church system." Let's read it. Let's read it here. Let's read it here in Matthew 7:21. Not everyone that says to me, Master, Master, will enter with me into the Malchut HaShamayim, but he that does the will of my Abba who is in the Shamayim. A great many of you will say to me in that Yom, Master, Master, Adon, Adon, have we not prophesied in your name? See, notice your name. Okay? Have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name, have we not cast out devils? Okay? So these are people who are casting out devils and prophesying in the true name. Not Isu in Greek, Isus, not Isa in Arabic, okay? Not Jesus in English. No. These were Hebrews, because Mashiach came to the Hebrews. Mashiach came to Israel. These were Hebrews who were prophesying, doing miracles, casting out shadim, and in your name doing many wonderful mitzvot and nisim, many wonderful works and miracles. And then I will say verse 23, Matityahu 7:23. I will profess to them, I never knew you. Get out of here, depart from me, you who are working Torahlessness. So what does this mean? These people were using the true name. These were not people in the church. There was no church at that time. There was no church at that time, not even a fake church, okay? These were people from the congregations of Israel who were using the true name, Yahuwah, or Yahuwah, or some say Yahweh, Yud-He Uhe, or Yud-He Vav-He, and they were using the true name to do miracles, and they were using the true name to do signs and wonders, and they were using the true name to cast out demons. And he says, sorry, your lifestyle Monday through Sunday is an abomination. You're living like the world. You're getting drunk like the world. You're using drugs like the world. You're dabbling in the occult like the world. You go to fortune tellers and divination. You drink of the cup of divination like the world. He's not talking to Christians who use Jesus, and then he says, "Get away from me, you who practice Torahlessness." There was no name Jesus in those days, and there was no Christians in those days. These were Jews and Israelites who were following the Jewish Messiah. Okay, so don't twist the word of Yahuwah to make it sound like that these verses are talking about Bob Larson or somebody like that. No, like go back to Mark chapter 9. Anybody who casts out shadim in my name, okay, cannot speak evil of me. All right. So these are Hebrews, not Christians, all right? Not Greeks, not Chinese, not Gentile, quote unquote, Gentile disciples. These are Hebrew Israelite disciples, the same people he wrote the book of Hebrews to. And he says, sorry, you may have cast out demons by name, and they'll come out. They'll come out. But you yourself will lose your salvation because Monday through Sunday, you're living like the devil. All right? You're practicing Torahlessness. Okay? And what people like to do is they like to take this and say, okay, everybody in the church that casts out demons, okay, that they don't have Torah, they're not living in the Torah, that this applies to them. Sorry, there was, at the time Yahushua taught this, there was no them. Okay, let's see what some of your comments are. It's true when, yes, Achoti, everything, every word I'm sharing with you is true, or else I wouldn't share it. Asheria says, sounds good on my end. Well, hallelujah for that. Dittos. Steve says, we sharpen our spiritual muscle by using them. Yep, dittos. To the critics, I say, give up religion and turn to truth. Exactly. Tove point. Yes, true. Achoti says, what do you tell someone that uses this verse to not believe in casting out devils and closing doors? That's their problem, Achoti. Okay? Again, he's not talking to Christians who don't follow the Torah. He's talking to anybody who does miracles, does signs and wonders, is anointed by Yahuwah, but in the end, their life is a compromise. It's not a matter, okay, they use Jesus instead of Yahusha, therefore it's not real. They're Torahlessness. No. What makes them Torahless is their phony lifestyle. Okay? There are some Christians who keep more Torah than there are Nazarene Israelites. How? They build hospitals, they feed the homeless, they build and support orphanages. We do nothing except talk about what time Shabbat starts and making tzitzit. So we claim to be doing Torah, but our lifestyle is not in obedience to the word. They who don't believe in doing Torah, they think that the Torah was nailed to the cross, by their lifestyle are doing more Torah than we're doing. Okay, that's why we need to relax and just do what he said. What he said was cast out demons Monday through Sunday and keep the Torah. Both. And if somebody is keeping the Torah and not casting out demons, that's their business. They'll answer to Yahuwah. And if somebody is casting out demons and not keeping the Torah, that's their business. They're going to have to answer to Yahuwah. But as for me and you, we know that both are required. So the gospel without the Torah is not the gospel. It's not the Besorah. The Besorah that's not based on the Torah is not the Besorah. But contrawise, the Besorah that is not based on the power, the manifold power, the proof, the demonstratable power of Yahuwah is also not the Besorah. Andrew says, well, they were select believers in his ministry before Acts. Yes. Secret, like the Pharisees. Yes. But see, both are needed. It's not an either or. So if people in the church like Bob Larson They're not following Torah like Shabbat, the feast, keeping kosher, but they're doing miracles in Yahusha's name, can never speak evil of Yahusha, and how much Torah they're doing, Yahuwah will be their judge, okay? But in Matthew 7, in context to the people he's talking to, who were not Chinese, they were Hebrews in the land of Judea. He says, you guys are using the true name, Yahusha or Yehoshua. You guys are using the true name. You're doing miracles, you're doing signs, you're doing wonders, but in your own personal lifestyle, you're not living the Torah. You're not honoring the Torah. He's not talking to Christians. Stop twisting the scriptures and saying, okay, well, I can't receive deliverance because it's from the church. The devil's lying to you. And the reason the devil's lying to you is to keep you deceived, like he kept me deceived for 35 years. Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of letting the devil lie to you? I am. We bind him and we bind his lying forked tongue, right? And in its place, we take the spoon of the word and we feed ourselves in the goodness of the word of Yahuwah. You follow what I'm saying? The irony of that kind of accusation is that, oh, well, if Christians are casting out demons, then it's fake, it's phony, like fake news. Dude, dudette. In Matthew 7:21, he ain't talking to Bob Larson. He's talking to Jewish exorcists who are casting out demons in his name, but they're living like the devil and preparing to kill the Messiah. They're preparing to get rid of the Messiah. We take freedom and deliverance from anyone who comes in the anointing and the authority. I know that people like Bob Larson and other people in the church system love Yahusha. They just are not enlightened. They're blind. They haven't recovered their sight in these key areas like Torah, Shabbat, keeping kosher, wearing fringes. They haven't recovered their sight in that area. Just like we had not recovered our sight in other areas. So when you have a deliverance schedule, the shadim inside of you become all stressed out and nervous because they know that they have to flee. They know their time is short. Yahusha said, out of your belly shall flow rivers of living water. This he spoke of the Ruach HaKadosh. Turn to Yochanan 7:38 and 39. You'll see that in Yochanan 7. Make sure to invite other people, please, or share the replay, the tape, because we need to get this thing straight. But he spoke of the matter of fact, let's be honest. Okay, while you're turning to Yochanan 7:38 and 39. Let's be honest. With a quick show of hands, how many of you listening to today's daily broadcast got saved in the church system? Every hand goes up, right? How many of you were actually saved in a Messianic congregation? Tell me, how many of you came to saving faith, salvation, through a Messianic congregation or a rabbi? Probably nobody. But if I asked you how many first got saved and first heard the gospel and first gave their life in a Sunday church, let me see your hand. Look at that. Everybody, me. So did Yahuwah use the church to wash you in the blood of the Messiah? Did he? Okay. So why can't he also bring deliverance ministry through the church that led you to salvation? See, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. As a start, correct. But the point is, Vilam, the point is that if Yahuwah used that corrupt system to bring you the message of salvation, what makes us think that if that same system does deliverance, that it will not be effective? That same system, amen, we should, right? Amen. I'm not saying go to church, just the opposite. I'm saying run away from the church. But the point is, it was through the church that we found Moshiach. At that time, we knew him as Jesus. But if we didn't first know him as Jesus, we never would have known him as Yahusha. So we have to avoid all these extremes, okay? All the extremes in the sacred name movement, all the extremes in any movement, all the extremes of doctrine, okay? Right now we use Yahusha, Yahuwah, because we're Torah keepers. But we didn't start out as Torah keepers. We didn't start out as Torah keepers, and Yahuwah still saved us. So sometime the deliverance will come from the church, just like salvation came from the church. Because Yahuwah is concerned about reaching people. And if the messengers need to be fixed, if the structures need to be fixed or destroyed, he will do that. Let's see what you guys are saying. I learned about Jesus in a Christian church, but it wasn't for long. That's right. It's the first step. But the point is, it was those folks who led all of us to the Messiah. And those are the folks who are teaching us about deliverance. Because in case you hadn't noticed, there's not a lot of messianic deliverance ministers. How many do you know? 0. Okay, maybe I'm one, and I'm still learning. So how many messianic deliverance ministers do you know? 0. Why? Because we believe this stuff is phony. We believe it's not real, right? Okay. So until somebody believes the word and does what he says to do from a Torah-keeping Nazarene Israelite background, the deliverance ministry is going to keep coming out of the church. As long as we're disobedient and people who keep Torah are disobedient, as long as that keeps happening, the deliverance that we're going to get is going to come out of the church until somebody stands up, until somebody wakes up, and until somebody obeys the word of Yahuwah. To you and Achi Eliyahu. Okay? Pardon me. Who's Eliyahu? I don't know. I don't know who Eliyahu is. Achoti. Andrew says, I know a church leader that came to Torah. Absolutely. Andrew, I was a pastor in 3 churches before I came to Torah. And I was Jewish. I was Jewish, and I pastored 3 Christian churches before I came to Torah. We need to share the truth in love, not condemn. Bring the less learned into his light. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we condemn everyone who says Jesus and everyone who's still trying to understand, then we condemn them before they have a chance to come to the light. Now, we're not promoting the church. I want to make that extremely clear. I don't live that way. I don't live the way the church does. Neither do you. But we can't deny where we came from. That was the womb in which we found the Messiah, in which we were born again of incorruptible seed by the word of Yahuwah, which liveth and abideth forever. The flower fades, the grass withers, but he that does the word of Yahuwah will live forever. Okay, so Yahuwah used that system when the Torah keepers were asleep at the wheel. Okay, one day the Torah keepers woke up and they started having their own congregations, keeping Torah and leading people to salvation. But those same leaders and those same congregations have not yet woken up in the area of deliverance. And I got news for you. Until they wake up in the area of deliverance, he's going to continue to use the church, and he's not going to ask your permission. What is funny is you hit the nail on the head. Messianics taught me how to make tzitzit. Oh, yeah, Yochanan. They'll also teach you how to make sardines and put sardines on a bagel and make matzo ball soup. You ask those Messianics who are condemning deliverance ministries and other things that come out of the church system, you ask them how many hospitals they built. Get back to me when you get the answer. Ask them how many nursing homes they built. Guess what? When you and I get sick, we're going to go to St. Luke's. We're going to go to Baptist Hospital. We're not going to the Nazarene Israelite Medical Center. You know why? Because we're too busy swatting at gnats and swallowing camels and arguing how much Hebrew we need to know. Okay, Hebrew is good. It's part of our culture, and we need to learn Hebrew little by little. But That's not a major, it's a minor. You don't want to major on the minors and minor on the majors. Okay? So the bad news for all the Torah terrorists is that until men and women step up from the Nazarene Israelite movement and build nursing homes and hospitals and do deliverance ministry, we got to go there where they're obeying the word of Yahuwah and where they're doing that through obedience. Because I've never met a single Messianic believer, Nazarene Israelite, who went to Nazarene Israelite Medical Center. We don't build them. We disobey Yahuwah. Feed the orphan, take care of the widow, house the homeless. We don't do that. Some of us do, but not on a grand enough scale to build a nursing home or a hospital. So where do you go when you get sick? You go to the Christian hospital. Well, y'all don't have a problem going to the Christian hospital, do you? That the Christians built with their hard-earned money. So we got to be careful as we come into Israel and Nazarene Israel that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't go from one extreme to the other. He has a raise the dead story too. What else can I say, buddy? Yep. Raising the dead. So go to Yochanan 7:38 and 39. Out of the belly will flow rivers of living water. Yahushua was talking about the Ruach HaKadosh. However, it seems, listen, that the belly or the midsection is also the seat of evil Ruachim. It is very common for Ruachim, Shadim, that are coming out of our temples to come out or manifest in the area of the stomach or the belly with a stirring or a discomfort in the stomach. I'm going to say that again. It is very common for Shadim to manifest in the belly or the stomach because that's where spirits come and go, okay? The Ruach HaKadosh is going to come out of our belly. So Ruachim are going to be, the Ruach HaKadosh is going to be in our belly and it's going to come out of our belly. But it's the same with the other Ruachim that are in our flesh, that are in our temple. So they live in the central Shadim. Demons live in the central nervous system. It is very common during and prior to deliverance that they will come out of the belly, the stomach area. Sometimes you'll feel a pain. Sometimes people that are going through deliverance will feel a pain or a pressure in the belly area. This is their control center, the nervous system. Sometimes there'll be numbness. Sometimes there'll be tingling. Sometimes there'll be dizziness. These are all very common when demons are aroused and awakened that a deliverance is about to take place and that a deliverance minister is about to show up. The candidates for deliverance should not be alarmed. We're talking about basics to understand deliverance. Candidates for deliverance should not be alarmed that demons, because demons will not harm them. It's like a hornet's nest. They get stirred up. We let them know that these are common symptoms prior to a deliverance or during a deliverance. Wheeziness, numbness, getting stirred up, sickness, stomach sickness in the belly. This has happened literally thousands and thousands of times, documented that these conditions are present. Achuti says, this is why I feel like a tight feeling when reading the scriptures sometime. It could be. It could be if there are shadim, demons, and when you bring the word of Yahuwah into your temple and that they get disturbed and riled up, that is very possible. If that happens on a regular basis, I would say yes, Achuti. Maybe that is why I'm having stomach disturbances of late. Yes, Tova, because your husband is going to go for deliverance this week, and also because you'll be going for deliverance in the near future as well. That's right. So you see right there a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Someone that's getting ready to go for deliverance, getting very nervous, very jittery, not sure that it's worth it, ready to back out, or pain that come and go, or like a stirring, like a bubbling in the stomach. And that's very, very common because even the Ruach HaKadosh is stirred up and a bubbling in the stomach, right? Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. Hey, by the way, are you sharing this broadcast with others? Are you pasting the link? Please take the time to share the broadcast and share the link. So when demons inhabit a believer, they will dwell in, as we mentioned many times, in the body and the soulish realm. The spirit is safe. That's why when we begin a deliverance, we take the word of Yahuwah, we take the scriptures, and we separate spirit, the saved, sanctified spirit part from the soul, part. Hebrews 4:12. We divide the spirit from the soul. We set aside the redeemed spirit man, and we begin to deal with the soul, and where the operation of the ruach takes place in the soulish realm to extract these unclean obstacles. They're basically squatters. So when they know they're going to get kicked out, they get nervous, right? Just like if we know we're going to get kicked out of an apartment or a house or whatever, one of our sisters is going through that, it's easy to get nervous and all stirred up, right? Okay. So here we have an example. This guy is giving us an example here. Don Dickerman. He says this. He once encountered, his name is Don Dickerman. He says, I once encountered, pardon me, a spirit and commanded the spirit to reveal where he was in the person. So Don Dickerman was doing a deliverance, and the Ruach responded in the mind. Okay. In the mind. I said, so you are in, Don Dickerman said, oh, to the Ruach, so you are in the brain? With a measure of frustration in the response, the spirit, speaking through the individual, said, no, not in the brain, I'm in the mind. The mind is part of the soul. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So the demons want to dwell in your soul, which is part of the mind, to control your thinking, so that by controlling your thinking, which is contrary to the word of Yahuwah, they can in turn control your behavior. See, in order to control your behavior, they have to control your thinking. And the thinking is part of the mind, which is part of the soul. Okay? So this between the ears is the devil's workshop. So these are the openings, and this is the opening. And when you invite Shadim in, and past generations are inviting them in, okay, that through here or through here, these are all orifices through which unclean spirits can enter, and you'll notice the proximity to the mind. See these portals? These are all portals, and their proximity to the mind. Okay, so this deliverance minister, a very anointed brother named Don Dickerman from Texas. So he asked the shad, he asked the demon, so you're in the person's brain. He said, no, I'm not in the brain, I'm in the mind. That's why as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you think you're a victim, if you think you're a loser, if you think you'll never amount to anything, if you believe what your parents told you, that it would have been better if you had never been born, then you will begin to manifest behaviors where you want to eliminate the pain of being less than, or not good enough, or abandoned by your parents, or rejected by your teachers, or by your schoolmates. That spirit of rejection and abandonment and abuse will begin to guide your mind, and the enemy will continue to fuel your mind to act out on the lie, which is part of renewing our mind. Romans 12:2. We have to renew our mind, because that's where the Shadim live. Bring every thought captive. Yes, brother Steve. 2 Corinthians 10:3-5. Bringing every thought captive. Amen. Exactly. So you see what I'm saying? So the battle is here. Yahushua lives here in the heart, in the Holy of Holies. That's the spirit man. But the struggle is here, and this works with the mind. So the mind and the flesh work together. So it is very important. Let's just go there, because that's how important it is. Let's just go there. Since we already have it open from earlier, right? Because we already opened the scriptures earlier. All right. We're in Matthew Matityahu. So now we want to fast forward to Ivrim, the book of Hebrews 12. The reason, now you're going to see why Shaul says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I'm sorry, right chapter, wrong book. Huh? And you guys thought I was infallible like the Pope, huh? Now you see I'm not infallible at all. Neither is he. So now we go to, now you'll see it a little bit differently, and I got to go quickly. I don't want to comment on it too much because I want to get to other stuff. Romans, Romia 12, 1 and 2. I beg you, therefore, Israelite brothers, by the Rachamim of Yahuwah, that you present your bodies for deliverance. That's really what he's saying there. That you present your bodies for deliverance as a living sacrifice, kadosh, acceptable to Yahuwah, which is your reasonable act of worship. And be not, as you give yourself over to be renewed, be not conformed to this olam hazeh, but be, watch, changed or transformed by the ongoing renewing of your mind. Circle that you may discern spirits and what is the tov, acceptable, perfect will of Yahuwah. Let's read that again. Be not conformed to the thinking of the devil and the flesh and this world. Don't think like they do. Why? Because we are required, we presented ourselves as living sacrifices to be changed, to be transformed. How are we transformed? Verse 2. We are transformed by the ongoing renewing of our mind. I am what Yahuwah says, not what my father said. I am what Yahuwah says, not what my classmates who made fun of me said. I am what Yahuwah says, not what my ex did when she tried to lie to me and deceive me and gaslight me. I'm not influenced anymore by gaslighting. I am only influenced by one opinion, and that is the opinion of the recorded, written, and anointed word of the living Elohim. So there would be no need for Paul to tell believers to be transformed by having their minds renewed if the mind was not the battlefield and if the mind was not the problem. The mind is the battlefield and the mind is the problem. Okay? The battle is for the mind. And then these Shadim, clearly in this deliverance, told Don Dickerman, he said, hey, we don't live in the brain, we live in the mind. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. He that can rule his mind is stronger. And the proverb says, he that can rule his spirit, he that can rule his mind, he that can rule his thinking is stronger than a king or is stronger than someone who takes a city. Romans chapter 12. Boker Tov, Brother Ramos. Philippians 4:8 as well. That's right. Philippians 4, 1 through 8. That's right. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. So if our minds were healthy and sanctified and saved, there would be no need for it to be transformed. So the Ruach was not lying, was he? In this case, the mind is part of the soul. The brain is part of the body. The mind and the will and the emotions make up the soul. The mind, the will, and the emotions make up the soul. The only way a demon can enter the spirit of a man would be if that person was lost without Mashiach. I'll say that again. The only way a demon can enter the spirit of a man is if that man is lost without Mashiach. Now, if a person is lost without Mashiach and a demon enters the spirit of a man, obviously that is demon possession because the person is not a believer. So a believer cannot be possessed because we are possessed by Yahusha. He bought us with a price, right? Therefore, glorify him in your body and your mind. Those are the areas that need to be transformed. You are bought with a price, right? Therefore, glorify Yahweh in your body and your mind. But the body and the mind are the exact areas that we need to glorify him and we need to be transformed, right? So if they were redeemed, if the body and the mind were already redeemed, there would be no need for constant vigilance for those things to be transformed. So during an extraction, when the demons are expelled or commanded to leave, please don't forget to invite others, or share this when we're done. Share the broadcast. Okay, very important that we reach people, because if we don't reach people, they're going to hold on to that stinking thinking. All right, that everything that the church does is wrong. It's not. Everything they do is not wrong. Just like everything that the Nazarene Israelite movement does is not right. We can't be. The word says in Philippians 4. We were talking about that, but I almost was talking about that before. Let your moderation be known to all men. In other words, when it comes to eating, be moderate. When it comes to drinking alcohol, be moderate. Okay, when it comes to understanding some of the things the church teaches, be moderate. Don't be an extremist and say automatically it's no good, because then you wouldn't even be saved. Most of you got saved in the church. Now, as you grow up and mature, the last thing you want to do is stay there, right? But you don't also want to go to a messianic movement that is also immature in these areas like deliverance and healing. The messianic movement is just as immature and blind, just in a different area. That's why Isaiah 8:14 is correct. What does Isaiah 8:14 say? Look it up. That Yahusha is a stumbling block, and the truth of Yahuwah is a stumbling block to both houses of Israel. So, when demons are expelled or commanded to leave, they must leave. They must obey the command, but they often come out in an individual's breath. They come out in an individual's breath, sometimes with a deep sigh, sometimes with a cough, sometimes with a yawn, or sometimes with a burp. I'm going to say that again. Sometime with a sigh, sometime with a cough, sometime with a yawn, sometime with a burp. So people think of exorcism the most dramatic, screaming and yelling, that is deliverance, but that's a lie. There are other times when a deliverance happens like this, when the shadim come out through the breath like this, or just a burp, or a very light aspiration. You see? We've got this whole thing from Hollywood, and it's time we get rid of the Hollywood image of deliverance, and we start adapting the Torah image of deliverance. And the Torah image of deliverance means there are a lot of different ways that they come out through the breath. Sometimes a person could be delivered just like this. Sometimes it could be a burp, or a very, very mild sigh. Other times it could be quite dramatic. It depends on the strength of the strong man and the strength of the resistance and the willingness of the person that's being ministered to yield to the Ruach. The willingness of that person to yield to the Ruach. Let's see, we have a question. Yah knows those who are ready for more. Amen. That's why here we seek here to lead us. Yes, that's right. That's why I'm here too, brother. If a demon came into you as a child and it was rebuked, could there still be resonate or never came out? Yes, absolutely. I would go through deliverance periodically to make sure the temple is clean. Yes, Achuti, you can go through deliverance more than once. Okay, and if somebody's using the true names and keeping the Torah, it's probably going to be a lot more efficient. Now, there might be occasionally some gagging takes place, like choking, gagging, and they come out that way too. But either way they will come out, they must be obedient. There are many types of releases. We can't limit it to one. Now, some have stated that shadim, rachim, leave out of the pores of their skin. That's fine. Others say that the shadim come out of their top of their heads. Others might say my fingers got hot, my leg got hot, and I sensed them leaving through my leg, or the tips of my fingers. Or some have said I see them leave like a flock of birds. So the candidate who's receiving deliverance always knows when they leave. Okay, they can leave through hot, through the pores, through the breath, through aspiration, through sighing. But either way, when they're commanded to leave, they have to leave, and the candidate always knows that they have left. Shadim, unclean spirits, cannot be disobedient to the command of the Master Yahusha. Now, Baruch Hashem, I want to say this. A lot of times when somebody goes through deliverance, yes, this is awesome, sister. And isn't it funny that we don't have as many people as we used to? When we started out, we were getting 19, 20, 25 sometime, and now we're settling down to a number. Right? And if they don't like what I'm teaching, they can go get milk toast and goat milk. That's fine. Go find someone that'll give you goat milk, and also go. You can also go find someone that'll give you one of these here, one of these, and tickle your ear. That clean your ears and tickle your ears. I'm not an ear tickler. Sorry. I'm a straight shooter. I'm a straight shooter that tries to walk in compassion, and tries to walk in ahava, and tries to walk in mercy. But I am a straight shooter. So I want to say this. A lot of times, Baruch Hashem, thank you, Allison. You're there for sure. What I want to say is a lot of times the candidate will always know that the unclean ruachim have left them. You're welcome, Colette. Okay, but and I've seen this. I've seen this myself. You'll ask someone who's finished deliverance. Well, how do you feel? I don't know. Well, how you doing? I don't know. I don't feel better. I don't feel worse. I feel neutral. See, I feel lighter, but I don't know. That's usually a sign that it was a very successful. From what I understand, that's a sign that it's been a very successful deliverance because you feel lighter. You should feel lighter because what was there before, you felt that in the stomach or in the pit of your stomach is gone. It's no longer there. People think when they go through deliverance, they're going to just be walking on a cloud and they're going to see life completely differently and everything is going to look rosy instead of dark. No, no. Deliverance sometimes will leave you feeling like neutral, meaning I don't feel better or happier and I don't feel worse. I just feel lighter. I feel as if something has lifted, something that didn't belong there, something that wasn't natural to be there, something that was bothering me. Don't expect to see rainbows and lights and don't expect that. That's not what deliverance is. Deliverance is just when you've been delivered, you have a feeling that, hey, the extraction, I feel lighter. I feel that part of me, I feel like part of me is missing. That's a good sign, because that thing wasn't supposed to be part of you to start with, and it was a squatter, right? So if you feel like something is missing, that's actually a good thing. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Colette. You're good people. You're good people. Maybe they are being kept by the resistance. I don't know what you mean by that, Willem. You'll have to explain. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. So when the Shadim leave, we must, this is the basics of deliverance, we must command them to go into the abyss. And we'll end with this today. Not just to the pit. See? Now, someone like Bob Larson and others, they say, go to the pit, go to the pit. That's good, but see, the demons are legalists. Okay, they know how to look for loopholes. Okay, and then when they're in our flesh, they teach our funky flesh, which is in rebellion against Yahuwah's spirit, how to look for loopholes. I can keep Shabbat, but I'll buy and sell. I can keep the Day of Atonement, but I'll eat and I won't fast. Okay, so the enemy is an expert at teaching our flesh how to find loopholes. It's the same way with him. So this is how slick the enemy is. If you cast out a shan and send them to the abyss, they may pull up a chair right on the outside of the fence and just sit down. And then when everything is calmed down and the deliverance minister goes home, they return to the individual, and then the individual wonders, what happened? Well, part of the learning experience for the minister who's doing the deliverance is to learn it's not good enough to send the enemy into the pit. I'm sorry, to the pit. We have to send them into the pit. Because if we don't send them into the pit, they're going to say, I don't have a legal right I don't have a legal obligation to leave. You told me to go to the pit. So I went to the pit and I pulled up a chair. And then as soon as you go home, I'm going to come back. See, that's the key right there. And a lot of deliverance ministers who are experienced, all right, like Bob Larson, let's say he's experienced, but he doesn't do that. So even those of us who are new can learn things that they don't understand. So when we do the deliverance, we want to make sure that the case is closed and they're never going to return and that they're sent into the pit. I thank you for clearing that up. I was thinking I wasn't giving people the answer they wanted to hear. Right, Allison? No problem. But we were also not, a lot of us who were doing deliverance for the first time, we were also not trained. You see what I'm saying? Because we follow the instruction that's out there and we follow the books and the materials that are out there. But sometimes the books and the materials that are out there are still incomplete. Okay. So it's very important to realize that a lot of times when you go through deliverance, you feel absolutely nothing. But you do know, you do know that there's something it is lighter. In other words, there's not that heaviness inside of you. That's like something is pulling you, is constantly nagging you, or is constantly gnawing at you. Okay, makes sense? Thank you for confirming what I felt lighter, but I knew I can't go back to the old behaviors and habits. Absolutely. Whether it's lust, whether it's whatever it is, you can't go back to those things. Okay, so because deliverance has been such a hidden thing, remember they took it out of Luke 18, 4:18, two times. In most translations, they hid it twice. In some translations, they only hid the word in the concept of deliverance once, but in others, they did it twice. So since the enemy wants to hide the benefit of Calvary and the benefit of Golgotha to bring deliverance to the mind so that our behavior changes, it's not surprised that he's going to lie to us and give us, the devil's going to say, okay, well, if you think you went through deliverance, how come you're still living in the same house? If you went through deliverance, how come your husband hasn't changed his attitude? In other words, pss, pss, nothing. Pss, 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 pss. He's going to lie to you and tell you nothing's changed. But that's not the point. A person going through deliverance will see change gradually over many weeks and months and years. But the first thing you will notice is you feel at a loss. You feel like you lost something. That's the best way to describe it. You feel like you lost something. And you sure did. You lost those shadim. We love you. Shaliach out.